You know, Josh, I had a lot of fun over the weekend at the Sixers Beach Bash, and you and I did get to see each other in person since the Beach Bash took place. But one of the things that I enjoyed the most was getting to meet in person, face to face, one Michael Kaskey-Blomain, our Sixers insider, and his dad, Tom, too. So that was really cool.
He's joining us on the line now, MKB, as I like to call him. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, fellas? I'm doing pretty well. How about you guys?
We're doing okay for a Thursday, and we're talking a little Sixers basketball right now, I guess, since it's your turn to step up to the mic, Michael, and let us in on a little knowledge, a little insight. Give it to us, baby.
So the Sixers made a couple moves yesterday. It seemed to be like, take away 2, add 1 to make some roster room. Let's talk about the guys they let go. We kind of figured that they would get rid of Tibor Pleiss. I believe I'm saying his name right. But a little unexpected that they would get rid of Carl Landry as well. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. Like you said, I think it was pretty much assumed that Tibor Pleiss was going to be let go. Once the team acquired him in that deal for Kendall Marshall, he was kind of just a throw in there. It was pretty much assumed all along that he wasn't going to, really stick on the roster going forward, especially considering, just how many big guys there are, and there just wouldn't be minutes for a guy like that to come in and really get any substantial tick here. And the logic was kind of the same with Carl Landry. I was talking to a person within the organization last night who, shortly after the team announced that they had waived Carl Landry, it was actually, they presented it as a move that was made to kind of help Carl out. He's, entering the last year of his contract, the 2016, 2017. He'll be looking for, a new contract next season going forward. And he just wasn't going to get the opportunity here with the Sixers this season to really, get some solid tick and show his stuff. He's an established veteran, and a lot of what the Sixers are going to be doing this year is going to be working in some of the younger guys, getting them, accustomed to playing, and that's really going to be the focus. So, Landry getting minutes was going to be a back seat, and it was going to be something that was inconsistent. So it was really a move made, as much as it would have been nice to have his veteran presence and his skill set around. It was really a move that was made kind of for him to give him time. It's early September 1st. He still has time to, catch on elsewhere with another team that could, use his skill set more and give him more time this season to showcase himself for a future deal.
How do you think that formulates for the rotation of the big men going into the season now?
That's a great question. The big men rotation is definitely, it's something that Brett will have to iron out come training camp and the preseason. It's definitely probably the main pressing issue with the roster as it stands right now. I think it just, if anything, it just clears up a little bit of space for them to, focus on working. Obviously, Joel and, Ja, Nerlens, and Dario, whoever happens to still be on the roster. And if Ben Simmons ends up seeing some time at a power forward spot and Rashawn Holmes is on the roster, that's 5 young guys right there that I think the team is really going to want to see a lot of this season in different situations. I think Brett's going to tinker with the lineup, especially to start the season. We'll probably see some different looks, players playing with different sets of players to kind of get a feel for each other. And I think, Landry just didn't necessarily fit in with that time. So I think that the minutes he was going to get, I think he played, high teens, maybe low 20s last year for the Sixers. I think those minutes can now just be allocated elsewhere to, some of the younger guys they're looking to develop this season.
Speaking of younger guys, the Sixers, I mentioned they took away 2. They added 1. They added NC State's Anthony Cat Barber to the roster. He's a point guard. Talk a little bit about why the Sixers added him and what they plan to expect from him coming in the training camp.
I think the team liked Cat Barber when they saw, obviously when they brought him in and signed him, they obviously, saw something in it that they liked. I think he's a guy, obviously 22 years old, decent size. He's about 6'3", 175, a solid, collegiate career at North Carolina State University. I think they just saw a guy that was, experienced at the point guard position with, some decent upside and not a lot of low, definitely not too much low side. I think it was kind of like taking a flyer on a guy whose skill set kind of fits the team right now. He can shoot a little bit. He's quick, make some plays. He's kind of the guy the type of player that would be looking to put next to Ben Simmons. I think that it's something that they were like, we'll give this guy a chance going into training camp to see if he can, really impress us and, grab a spot on the roster. With Kendall Marshall gone now, the only two real point guards on the roster are, Sergio Rodriguez and Jared Bayless, who were both just added in the offseason. So I think, Cat Barber going into training camp will kind of serve as that, that third point guard in the rotation there to kind of, if not at least secure a spot for himself, push the other 2 point guards and keep a competitive balance going throughout the preseason and training camp.
What are the odds he actually does make the roster, though?
Honestly, I mean, at this point, I would say it's pretty decent just based off the fact that I think the team would want to have 3 point guards on the roster, as they did last year. Throughout the season, they had Ish, TJ McConnell, and, Kendall Marshall at the bottom of the bench. I think this year it'll come down to probably a battle again with PJ and Cat. I think Sergio Rodriguez and Jared Bayless are obviously, locks to be on the roster. So I think it'll come down to training camp where it'll be a battle for the final point guard spot between the two. And, I would be lying if I said I've seen a ton of Cat Barber play in college, but I think he'll certainly get the opportunity to, show his stuff to the coaching staff. And if they think that, he's a guy that could contribute in the short term this season, they'll give him a shot. But right now, I wouldn't necessarily bank on him being on the regular season roster.
Michael Kaskey-Blomain with us, our Sixers insider, and that's the point guard position, Michael. But the shooting guard, Sixers made a move over the summer to stabilize that position by getting the pride of Episcopal Academy. That would be Gerald Henderson, and I know you spoke with him recently. Your impressions of Gerald Henderson and his thoughts on coming back to the Sixers?
I think Gerald Henderson was a great pickup by the team. Obviously not just because of the Philadelphia, roots and that being his hometown, but he's just the type of guy I think that the Sixers really need to have around, at this point in their rebuild. He's a proven veteran. He's a guy that's been around. You've never heard anything, negative about in the news. He's one of those guys that just lives and breathes basketball, comes in, does his job, does it well, and, gets the job done. I had a chance to speak with him last week prior to the Beach Bash on the phone for, about 20 minutes and just got to talk to him about, what it was like to, be coming back to his hometown team and his expectations for the season. And I left the conversation just feeling really, really good. He seems genuinely excited and happy, not only to be coming back to Philly, but kind of embracing the role of, a veteran leader on this young team. He spoke specifically about how Brett and the coaching staff has kind of already talked to him about what his role is going to be as far as not just a shooting guard on the floor, but a locker room leader and a guy that, some of these younger guys can kind of look to for guidance. And he just seems to be really looking forward to that and ready to embrace that role. And I think, he's just, by all accounts, a really good locker room guy to have, for the team. And that's not even to say what he can do on the floor. I think his skill set, will work very well with what the Sixers are trying to do as well. So I think, all around, I really like the addition of Gerald Henderson. I thought it was one that almost kind of flew under the radar this summer with all the other stuff that was going on. I think that's, in the short term, at least over this season and next, that'll be a move that proves to be very beneficial.
Yeah, and there are so many young guys. I mean, he's not that young. He's 28 years old. He's considered a veteran status in the NBA and several seasons in Charlotte, the single season in Portland. I guess the biggest thing, common knowledge, Michael, would say that if the Sixers have a lot of talent on the low block, then that'll open him up, and teams may actually dare the Sixers, like, look, we're gonna stack down low, and good luck. We'll just leave the Henderson guy open and see if he can knock down shots. Is his three-point shooting good enough to be successful for the Sixers?
Well, that's a great question, Pete, and that's actually something that I talked to him specifically about when I spoke to him. Obviously, like you alluded to, with guys down on the low post, like an Embiid or an Okafor, guys that are demanding attention and potentially a double team. And then a guy like Ben Simmons, who's just a playmaker that can get lots of open looks by, driving and dishing to the perimeter. The ability of the Sixers wings to knock down, like you said, open shots and three-pointers will be crucial. So, Gerald, I think, knows that, and he said that the three-point shot is something that he's been working on, not just, this offseason, but over the past couple seasons. It's something that he's really focused on as, kind of the league has gravitated toward a more spread style, more favoring of three-point shooting. You look at the, obviously Steph Curry and the Warriors. I think that that's something that Gerald has worked really hard to, incorporate into his game. You know, he said it was never really his bread and butter has always been kind of the mid-range shot, a little bit of driving and getting to the line and to the lane and attacking. And he said he's still, you know, that's still going to be his go-to. That's where he feels most comfortable. But he said he's worked it up to the point that he feels more than confident enough in his three-point shot to, you know, just let it go if he has the opportunity. And, you know, I'm guessing that's the message that Brett and the coaching staff is going to be sending him. They want, you know, the defense to respect the perimeter shot. So I think that, you know, the fact that defenders have to respect his ability to take them off the dribble and also the improved three-point shot, I think he'll fit in very nicely with, you know, some of these young guys on the roster.
We've been speaking with Michael Kaskey-Blomain, our 97.3 ESPN.com Sixers Insider. You can check out the full interview with Gerald Henderson. The link is over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Mike, you know, I never thought we would actually be talking Sixers on September 1st, but you know what? The Sixers have found a way. They've mastered what the Jets and other football teams do, which is they've drug out the Sixers news throughout the entire year to keep our interest year-round. So you got to give them credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I really remember a time where, you know, I'm not to downplay the Eagles, but where there's, you know, this much hype around the Sixers at the start of what in Philadelphia is, you know, annually considered to be Eagles time.
So much excitement. 26 days away from the start of training camp, Michael. So
at Stockton.
Maybe we get to see you down here for a couple days. September 27th to the 30th, they'll be in Galloway. So maybe we'll get some MKB drop-ins. You know, Galloway to Northfield, that's pretty short distance. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to.
Fingers crossed.
Mike, appreciate the time. Catch you next time.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.